Good morning, everybody. Good morning. If you're in the back, you want to kind of make your way on up, just want to say a big welcome. So glad you're here. I'm Jeff Simmons. I'm the lead pastor here at Rolling Hills Community Church, and we love the Breakfast with the Mayors. So I just want to say welcome to you guys, and so grateful we can all gather together, and Mindy and her team do such an incredible job. So grateful for you, Mindy, and so great that we could come together and hear from our mayors today, and a lot happening right here in our city. And so we want to be able to talk about that, and we want to be able to gather together. A lot of great conversations going on right now, which is good. But as you make your way up toward the front, we're going to get started in just a minute. So I'm going to open us in a word of prayer, and then after I pray, I'm going to turn it over to Mindy, and we'll get on with our program today. So everybody in the back, we're going to go ahead and pray. Let's pray together right now. Father, thanks for today. Thank you, God, that we can gather. God, I thank you for our city. God, I thank you for all that's happening right here in our city. And Father, your hand of blessing is on our city. I thank you for our mayors, God, and just their incredible leadership. Thank you for the wisdom that you've given to them. And thank you, God, for Ken and for Rogers, and God, for their just amazing heart and care for all of us. Thank you for our first responders. Thank you for our teachers. Thank you for all the community leaders and all the churches and the fabric of this community right here. And so many people want to move here and be here, God, because something special is happening in this place. And so thank you for the leaders that are here today. Thank you for Franklin tomorrow as we look out and plan for what's coming in the future. And God, use us, Father, in this day, in this generation, to make a difference in our city, in our nation, and in our world. And it's in the name of Jesus we pray. Amen, amen. Well, Mindy, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Give Teresa that mic. Good morning. Welcome to Breakfast with the Mayors. I'm Mindy Tate, CEO of Franklin Tomorrow, and I want to introduce our new board chair, Teresa Ashworth Harris. So welcome, Teresa, to the stage. Did you know that this was part of it when you agreed to be our board chair, that you got to stand up in front of a couple hundred people every quarter and say hi or anything?
Well, I did pay attention when Patrick Baggett was our chair and Alina Bell before him, so I had an inkling, but this is a different view from up here.
It is a different view, for sure. But you lead up our 25-member board of directors, and so we appreciate your leadership. And we have 3 new board members for this year. Would you like to introduce them for us?
Yes, I will. We do have an amazing 25-member board, and joining us this year are Paula Harris, Jessica Lucision, and Elaine Whitney. So I would love for you to welcome them, as well as all of our other board members. If we have a board member here in the audience today, please stand up or give us a wave from wherever you are.
So we really appreciate our board members, and many of them came to us by serving on committees. We have an active committee structure, and we've just finished updating our 3-year strategic plan, and now we'll be formulating our committees for the next year or 2 years. And so if you're interested in serving on a community organization committee, speak to me or Teresa or Emily, who's our operations administrator, or one of our board members. We'd love to get more people involved. We certainly would. So that's where most of these new board members came from. So we also have great partners to help us present our events. In 2023, Breakfast with the Mayors is being presented with Pinnacle Financial Partners, and I know I saw Vicki Manning here, so thank you. And this year they are joined by Gresham Smith as a co-presenting partner, and I saw their past chair, Al Pramick, here. So let's thank them as their representatives stand. So Williamson Medical Center is one of our sustaining partners. Williamson Health and Williamson Medical, our sustaining partner, along with Atmos Energy. And Atmos is represented by Kenny Hay and Christina Christensen, who are here this morning, so thank them as well. And we're going to give a chance to Michelle Simpson to come up and tell us a little bit about what's happening with Williamson Health. We'll all get used to saying that soon.
Thank you, Mindy. I just wanted to start with a little informal poll. So how many of you have heard that Williamson Medical Center has recently gone through a change? We have a new parent brand and a new logo. Okay, good. Okay, wonderful. So the news is getting out there, and I thank Mindy for letting us be here today to share with the rest of you who haven't heard. We are so proud of our partnership with Franklin Tomorrow and love sponsoring all the different events like Breakfast with the Mayors. So thank you for this opportunity. It was last month we celebrated 65 years of Williamson Medical Center, and in that time we have grown. Yes, you can clap. We'll take that. We have grown to so much more than just the small community hospital that we started, and we actually have more than 30 different locations now across the county. That includes all of our EMS stations, that includes our physician practices that are out in the community, our bone and joint clinics, so much that we're offering the community. So with that timing, and also it was about a year ago that Phil Mazuka was here on this stage talking about our new expansion project, the $200 million project we have underway. We sat back and we said, you know what, now is the time to rebrand, to let people know we are more than just the medical center. And so the new parent brand that we have is Williamson Health. That is the parent brand that sits on top of everything we do, including Williamson Medical Center. And then we have the new logo to go along with that. So I'm going to show two quick videos. The first just explains the process we went through, and then the second is our new commercial that maybe you've seen around town or on TV. And then a few quick ways. If you want to learn more, you can go to williamsonhealth.org. You can follow us on social media, just finding us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn by searching Williamson Health. Or you can pick up the latest issue of Southern Exposure magazine, and Phil Mazuka, our CEO, is on the cover. There's a great story in here about our rebrand. So thank you so much, and I guess we'll show the videos.
Being able to go out there with a new brand, a new logo, and really talk about who we are as an organization, not just a hospital. Even though the hospital is such an integral part of Williamson Health, we're bigger, we're more regional, and we need to represent that.
65 years ago, we started as a 50-bed small community hospital, Williamson County Hospital, over in West Franklin. And since that time, we have grown into this regional healthcare system that includes multiple different services across more than 30 different locations. And so it was important to us to sit back and think about where we've been, where we are today, where we're going in the future with the expansion that we've announced, the $200 million historic expansion. This new brand, Williamson Health, is the parent brand that encompasses all of the different services, all of the different healthcare entities and partners we have. Lots of people think when you talk about branding that it's just the logo, it's just the visual of what it looks like, but it's actually so much more. It begins with the positioning, it begins with the messaging and how we want to think about ourselves, how we want to talk about ourselves, and how we want to project who we are to the community. We had several different options of logos that we looked at, but overwhelmingly this one. What we liked most about it was the fact that it incorporated so much of the old logo. We really tried to pay homage and respect to that. The red color's been updated, modernized a little bit, and created this new cross, which represents multiple different entities, multiple different services around the county, all pointing towards the same mission of providing that high-quality, compassionate care.
What we've got going on outside with the new branding, it can't be done without everything that you do for this community. We are Williamson Health.
Williamson County is a community unlike anywhere else. But that's not news to you. It's why you chose to live here. Hardworking, humble people who share a deep commitment to making their community better every day. We know this because, just like you, we are Williamson County. Williamson Health has been dedicated to serving Williamson County for more than 65 years, growing and transforming right along with it. We put our heart and soul into helping our friends and neighbors. Whether we're caring for patients, supporting our local high schools, or partnering with local nonprofits. For us, it's personal. We believe you should have the best possible care right here at home. After all, your family is here. Your memories are here. Your community is here. Your heart is here. You shouldn't have to go anywhere else to get the care you deserve. Williamson Health is committed to providing world-class care that's close to home. With our award-winning hospital, Williamson Medical Center, strategically located physician practices, the renowned Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee, state-of-the-art EMS stations, and so much more. No matter where you are in Wilco, exceptional care is here.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you, Williamson Health, for your support. But Teresa, we have a whole group of platinum partners as well.
We do. Our platinum partners for this year are UHY Audit, Advisory and Tax Consulting,
I saw Sarah Hardy here.
First Bank, Hazen and Sawyer,
There's Michael Orr, I see him over there.
Williamson County Association of Realtors,
Kathy Moore and Bo Patton are here.
as well as Vulcan Materials Company, and Williamson Memorial Funeral Home and Cremation
And
Services.
I know I saw Riley and Scott back there, so that's great. So also thank you this morning to Puckett's Grocery and Restaurant. We always appreciate those biscuits for sure. And thanks to Pam Smith and Lyle Richardson for being here. And then, did you like coffee this morning? Did you get enough coffee? So thank you to the Lion Leadership Group. And that is Terry Remke, but also Ted Lyon is here today from Gallatin. He is the owner-operator of 19 McDonald's in our region, and he's celebrating 50 years as an owner-operator. So please thank Ted for making the drive down. Ted, stand up and say hi. Great, thanks so much. So thank you for being here, and we'll get started with our program. So thank you so much. So I'm going to welcome to the stage, you know them, that's why you're here, to have breakfast with the mayors, right? And these are 2 of the 7 or 8 in the county. We'll have to figure that out. But I'll ask Williamson County Mayor Rogers Anderson and Franklin Mayor Dr. Ken Moore to come to the stage for the remainder of our program focused on 2 mayors' shared vision. So thanks, guys. Rogers, that's you. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Mindy.
Oh, yeah, well, like, we haven't already said good morning, but we did already say good morning, so it's...
This looks like some furniture we could use in the new city hall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some new city hall furniture. You're going to need some. I bet we'll hear about that a little bit.
You might.
I don't know if we'll hear about that or not, but I think, Mayor Moore, you are first to sort of talk about your 2 mayors' shared vision for the future of Franklin. And I think we maybe have a video that you 2 made that we might show right now. Are y'all feeling pretty good? You did pretty well on the stairs. Because you both have had some surgeries in the last year, right? You're familiar with Williamson Health and Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee, right? I'm not saying you're old or anything. I'm just saying you've had some surgery.
Maybe you need to have Michelle come back up here and give you some of the benefits.
Or maybe I just need to think about HIPAA or something like that. Yeah.
Or maybe your hip.
Well, I do think there's a video, right?
Well, we had this program planned so long ago, I've forgotten what we did. But my knees are really working good. Thank you, Williamson Medical.
Oh. And Rogers, you had a knee replacement?
Yeah, as usual, I took over what Ken didn't want, came in second.
He only had half a knee.
Well, so just a little video from these 2 showing some fun and their appreciation. So we'll let it get that video, show that video.
Ken, how's that knee doing?
I'm getting there, Rogers. I'm doing pretty well with it. How about you?
Oh, I really can't complain. I'm really ready to get started.
Well, let's get started with a little ball. How's
All
that,
right.
man? Let's move out a little farther. What do you think, Roger?
I'm all for it. How's this?
A little farther. Maybe a little farther.
Father?
Yeah, that's it. Watch this, Rogers.
Those mayors.
Looks like we got our money's worth at Bone and Joint.
We sure did, but I hope we don't get in any trouble.
Well, you all are trouble, that's for sure. Together, trouble, but also accomplishing a lot in our community, for sure. So, Mayor Ken Moore, tell us a little bit about some of the things that have been going on in the last year and kicking off this year, and we have a few things here, so.
Well, I think I'd start out by just saying I forgot to give Rogers his Christmas present. So, Rogers, I'm sorry, it's a little late, but the intentions were good. So, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Happy Birthday, whenever that is.
Well, we didn't want him to feel left out, so there's something for you. They do have a shared vision, so see,
Ted, I'm sorry about this. Would you keep on sending the coffee and the biscuits? And, well, thank you, Rogers.
you have a shirt too, so yeah, boy, this is fun, guys. Y'all, you
Well-
can wear those the rest of the program? Okay, no
Does
problem.
it, how does it help my cheeks and things? Well, we always have fun, and Rogers, thanks for being such a great partner and friend here in Williamson County. And I just wanted to start out just maybe talking about how people continue to seek out our community to relocate their businesses. And last year we had 5 corporate relocations, over 1,000 jobs, and we've already started out this year with the announcement of In-N-Out Burger, which is going to build a headquarters down in southeast Franklin and bring about 300 employees here. And it's created a lot of buzz because it's kind of a iconic brand out west, and this will be their first foray into the United States east of the Mississippi. So we're excited about that and so on. But I really wanted to go on and kind of update you on City Hall. Many of you are aware that we've been working on and talking about a new City Hall. We currently are in an old mall that was built a long time ago, and we've actually looked at one time on how we could refurbish that mall and make it appropriate, but we found out that it's an old building and it's got lots of problems. It's very inefficient, so the decision was made to continue to move forward to build a new City Hall. We're estimating that we're going to have about a 90,000 square foot building, somewhere in the $90 million range. And we've been focusing on building that property on the square and the current location for the current City Hall. Along the way, there was a suggestion that maybe we should look at some other site. So the board, in a parallel fashion right now, is still supportive of moving forward with schematic design to about 50%, and at the same time looking to see what a process might look like if there were other people that wanted to buy the City Hall property and throw in some additional property where a new City Hall might be located. So that's continued to move forward. Recently at Historic Zoning and also at the board meeting, I think that's
Tonight, at
Yeah,
the
we'll
work
be
session.
looking at some of the proposed appearances of City Hall there on the square. So watch it if you didn't watch historic zoning, you can grab it there. The next, am I changing slides or am I just talking?
You're just talking. He's changing them along with you.
Oh, okay. The next is I wanted to talk some about some of the road projects that are going on. And believe it or not, Franklin Road will eventually be finished. It's been a difficult project, and you know, whenever you're trying to cram in so much infrastructure in the road, and much of it is very, very old and has to be replaced, it's a challenge. We had hoped that it would be done earlier. It looks like now that this spring they'll be putting the final top coat on. But I wanted to bring up, I've heard a number of comments about the street lights, that they're too close together, they're too bright, and we had a discussion about this other night in one of our committee meetings, and apparently the spacing of those street lights coming out of downtown is based on state regulations and also based on the amount of proposed pedestrian traffic that occurs. So as you notice, the further you go out, the wider they become as far as their spacing. We're looking at, number one, to start by putting some shields on those street lights to see if that will help some of the light pollution that people are concerned about. And secondly, we'll be looking to turn the voltage down on them so they're not quite as bright if the shielding doesn't work. I did want to bring you up to date on McEwen from Cool Springs to Wilson Pike. That project, the right-of-way has now been obtained, and so we're continuing to move forward to get that project bid probably late this year, early next year is my understanding. Columbia Avenue, we're not far from being able to start obtaining the right-of-way on it. Right now, the environmental evaluation is being done by we've done the environmental and we turned it over to the state, so we're waiting their response. We still talk about Southeast McHatcher Parkway from Columbia Avenue to Murfreesboro Road. We've been pushing that in their Transportation Policy Board. We actually saw that fall off the list because of lack of funds, but we protested and it's back on the list, so we'll continue to push that.
And that would be widening Southeast McHatcher.
Yes, I'm sorry. It would be widening it to 4 lanes, exactly. You're going to see construction start this spring on a bridge going across the back of Harlansdale Park. Thank you, Friends of Franklin Park, that's helping us with that. Bicentennial Park, we're going to be bidding that finally. And then the last thing was the Southeast Park. We're looking to, we bid Southeast Park. We didn't like the way the bids came in, so we're going to combine Robinson Lake and Southeast Park and LEG's Dream World. I saw Brandy Blanton here this morning. I don't know if we have other aldermen here, but good morning if you're here. So we'll be rebidding that and trying to come up with to move it forward. The next thing on my list is the governor's legislative transportation proposal, the Transportation Modernization Act. We've been told this is the #1 legislation in the General Assembly this year. There are a number of components to it that you need to be aware of. One is choice lanes. They like to say they're not toll roads. They say that these are public-private joint ventures that would build additional laneage, and those additional laneages would be monetized by the public-private partnership to pay for them. This would free up other money in the state's Tennessee Department of Transportation's budget to go to other projects. Secondly, design build has been an important thing that the state has used on occasion. Probably the most recent project you can think about is 440 in Nashville. That was a design build project, and you know that project moved through very, very fast. They've been limited on the number of design build projects that they've been able to do by state law, and so they're looking to increase that number again to free up money to build other projects. Lastly, electric vehicles. If you remember, our state roads are funded by a gasoline tax. A number of years ago, we had the Improve Act, which increased the gasoline tax. Unfortunately, the number of projects that were to be funded by the Improve Act were supposed to be done in 10 years, and because of inflation and other things, it's now 40 years to build those projects. So the EV fee currently is $100, and the General Assembly may consider whether to increase that fee to make sure that they're paying their part. Lastly, if there's a picture of Deputy Governor Butch Ely there, I put that in because Butch did come to our mayor's group and talk to us about this particular project, and I just wanted to put it in because I want you to know that your elected officials from the cities in Williamson County and our county mayor all have relationships, and we think those relationships are important, that they're contacting us and talking to us about their projects and getting our input. So I think that's important to understand that. And then lastly, next is just a projection on the revenues for the city. We continue, just like the state, to see good times as far as our funds, and we're going to anticipate about a 3.5% increase in our revenues next year. We continue to be heavily dependent upon sales tax locally and also our state shared revenue. We continue to see a very low unemployment rate here in our county, and it's a great place to do business and a great place to live, of course. And then lastly, I wanted to talk just very quickly about tourism. Maureen Haley Thornton, I don't know if Maureen's here this morning. If she is, wave your hand. But Maureen's doing a great job for us. We're coming out of the pandemic. We're hitting it hard. And visitors last year spent $1 billion in Williamson County. What does that mean for us that our homes here have homes here in Williamson County? It means that we're saving $1,111 of taxes because tourists are coming and spend their dollars here. So we continue to support tourism, and I think it's going to continue. Those numbers are going to continue to rise. So that's
Thank you
it.
so much. We'll come back with some questions that were submitted. So Rogers, we let the little mayor go first. We'll turn it over to the big mayor now to, the overall bigger picture. Go right ahead.
Well, first of all, I know there are other elected officials out in the audience. County commissioners, I saw the sheriff here, so judges, if they would stand, aldermen, so we can acknowledge you, because really Ken and I are up here, but you're doing all the work.
Oh, great.
So I'll kind of hitchhike off from some of the things Ken said so that we don't duplicate. The first slide that I've asked to be put up is, yes. This was recently put out by Stacker. It's a company, it's an organization that looks at Williamson County and all the counties throughout the United States, and you can kind of see how we ranked number one in the state of Tennessee, and it gives you some parallels underneath that about how some of the other cities were ranked across the United States area. We were 27th overall. We were slightly ahead of Knox County and Rutherford County and Davis County. I'm not picking on them, but I am picking on them. They how we ranked with other counties in the area. And if I could move from that to the next slide, the first slide you're going to see this morning is the existing site. We are in the process. We've been talking about it for couple of years now, looking at our existing jail, juvenile service courts, and the sheriff's office. What you're seeing first is the way it's set up over on Beasley and Century Court. I would think most of you haven't ever been to the jail. I hope so. But this is the existing format that we have currently with the far left-hand side as you're looking at it. Up on the far left is a recycling center. For the last 20 to 25 years, maybe 30 years, the recycling area goes there for distribution and separation point, and we're completely taking that out of the equation, moving it out to our landfill off of Pinewood Road, trying to create some space down there. Jim Cross with oversight is kind of overseeing this for us, and so I don't know if Jim's here this morning, but I know Diane is here. If you want more specifics or pictures on this, more involvement. And then you will also see that our juvenile service, which is woefully it just doesn't have the room in which to address the needs of our community. So the next slide gives you an idea of how the overall site plan will develop as we push this out. You will see there's a lot of moving parts on this, but at the end of the day, we're going to have an award-winning juvenile service center, which we can address the needs of the many youths that we have, on which Sharon Guffey, Judge Guffey, oversees on a daily basis. Dusty Roads area, the jail. Unfortunately, that's a part about government that most of us just really hate to talk about, but it is a part of operations that we have to deal with, and that special operations, gun ranges, all of those things are there in which to make our community a little safer. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. I'm going to lean up and you'll throw the next slide. So what are we doing out into the rural area? This is under the oversight of Gordon Hampton's the new ball field, recreation complex, library, soccer fields. This is in Bethesda. This will be the last of the regional recreation facilities we have throughout the different parts of our county, either working with our cities or working independently as we're doing on this one with ourselves. This is a 2.5, 3 year project out to be completed. It's about 2 years deep into it. That area out there is one of the faster growing areas of our community. And we will be installing artificial turf on these soccer fields. The purpose of that is we continue to grow our county, sees more and more youth using the soccer fields, lacrosse, both boys and girls, and so we're trying to address some of those needs, as is Franklin, as is Brentwood, some of the other cities. Everyone's trying to build those in their jurisdictional area, and this is an area we feel will be very strong. It's also time for us to invest some money and time and energy into our library system. So look for that out from Duplex Road, right in an area that Bethesda and Thompson Station all should be able to use that. The next slide is a facility we are finally closing in on. This is on Peacock Hill Road, Peacock Hill Park. This is out in the southern part of our community. Several years back, it was a family that gave us 250 acres of a beautiful, pristine site in our county. It's out on Giles Hill Road. If you know where that area is, out towards, like you go to Marshall County, Bedford County, down in that area. Very rural part, have a lot of trails, park facility. I'm excited about up on the upper part of that plateau is a flat area. There'll be plenty of trails in which to walk and get a good day's exercise, but on the top of that, Well, when we inherited this piece of property, there was an old church, small church, that we're not sure about all the history of this church. Apparently it didn't have a very large congregation, probably would seat 12 or 15 people. But it was a place that was located, and we wanted to preserve that, and so Gordon and them to be able to have some sunrise services out there and use that park in a way that maybe our ancestors would just see the beauty of a hilltop like that. And I'm being told that we can see several different counties from that spot. So look for that to open up sometime in the late summer, early fall. The next slide, and I'll kind of speed it up, is Timberland Park, 70 acres, been open now a couple of years. If you haven't had an opportunity to go out there, I would encourage you to do it. There's 3 trails. There's a beginner's trail, intermediate, and advanced. We also have connectivity to over 250 acres that you continue your hiking and walking. It is absolutely Smoky Mountain beautiful is what I call it, with completely solar building, wells. It is where you would go out Highway 96, new Highway 96, like you would go to the Trace Parkway, get up on the Trace, turn left. It's about a mile on your right. You can't miss it, and we operate that under the same hours as the Trace Parkway and things like that. 70 acres. Go out, take your children, take your animals. Gorgeous. The next one for you that are more adventurous, like Ken would do, this is mountain bike. We have 150 plus acres out in Wilkins Branch area. Many of you may have seen that. It's an award-winning park. I would think that we really need to get Bone and Joint to support that because I went out with one of my grandsons, and unfortunately, fortunately, I didn't ride. He had a great time, and over the handlebars a little bit he went, but he was all right. But absolutely, this is one of the only parks in the Middle Tennessee area. I think Percy may have one, but as far as the activities for getting rankings to do, you have to go to Chattanooga and Knoxville. The next slide will show you a little bit about how we're spending your tax dollars that came to us from the feds under the American Rescue Plan. We call them ARPA funds. And one of the things we have to always be mindful of in our community is certainly health care. But our county commissioners, with the oversight of Paul Webb, running our ARPA funds for us, we have spent part of the money for replacement of ambulances and 3 additional new ambulances. Those ambulances run somewhere around $650,000 to $750,000 if you can get them at the present time. The ambulance service is actually run by Williamson Medical Center, and the county supports that activity through your tax dollars sent over to them through capital purchases such as this. So we're very excited that when, unfortunately, when an ambulance has to come to your house or place of business, that they continue to be able to respond. I think at the latest, maybe Michelle could do I think we have 16 ambulances now, 18 ambulances that serve our community with response time trying to get to you in about 8 minutes. So that's critical when you have a heart attack and any kind of sports injuries that you may have. The next slide, if I jump to, this one's kind of new. Middle Tennessee Electric and United several years ago formed a collaboration of an effort, and whereby they formed their forces together so that we could have better communications throughout our county. Now, this is not saying anything any more than the fact that United has formed up with Middle Tennessee Electric. I fully realize the value of AT&T and all the Verizon, all the other carriers that we have. About 2.5 years ago, in a meeting that I was in, I brought up the fact that we needed to have better communications in Williamson County. We really saw that during the pandemic period, that our children, our places of work, we just weren't connected well out in the unincorporated part of our county. So we've really made a conscientious effort, and one of those efforts is through broadband. And you can see up on the slide that we have received a total of about $19 million. We're using some ARPA funds, we're using some grant match funds, and to the states, and all of these are in the bank as United continues to build out the southern part. Southern part would be College Grove up to Triune, a little bit into Nolensville, swing through the lower part of Franklin, Bethesda, lower end of Thompson Station to Spring Hill, trying to serve all of our communities. So what does that look like? One of the challenges that we had in the county was Slogo, if any of you are old enough to remember the cartoon character by the name of Slogo. He said, "We found the enemy, and the enemy is us." And so we rewrote, under the oversight of legal and our community development, our small cell regs that we have, hoping to be able to push these out a little bit further. We need both in our community. If you're driving down I-65 south, you go through the Brentwood area on the interchange, you go up over Columbia Avenue, towards Winstead Elementary School. Many different pockets in our community that just did not have good reception. So we've made an effort. I think we're 4 towers contracted now to be strategically put in our community for public safety and for your use. We'll build the towers, then we'll lease out those towers to these different subscribers like Verizon, AT&T, and mobile. And at the same time, we'll put public safety there, and you and I will be able to have better connectivity in our community. It also takes broadband to those towers to get them to really function the way they need to. So I'm hoping by 5 and 10 years out that we'll be able to offer better communications to all of our community, not just in the areas of Franklin and Brentwood. We need to get out into the rural areas. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Rogers, for that. So I worked with y'all on the topic for this, and it's 2 mayors, shared vision. I mean, you do different things as the county mayor or the city mayors or other city mayors that might be here. But how do you all work together, and why is that important?
Well, I think that a lot of the counties across the state are very jealous of Williamson County and the relationships that the county mayor and all the city mayors have, how we are able to work together and talk about issues. That doesn't mean we all agree all the time, but that's very positive. There are counties in this state where the elected officials don't even talk to each other, and it'd just be hard to imagine that. I think probably the common vision that both of us share is continuing to make our county and our cities the place where people do want to live, work, and raise their family. And that high quality of life that Rogers is talking about, those opportunities for parks and trails and so on. And I do hope that you'll shorten some of those soccer fields for me and you. So,
Rogers, I mean, is it important that you all work together?
Oh, it absolutely. In the first slide that we shown today, you don't become number 1 in a countywide ranking just by doing your each individual silo things. You just can't do that. And so it's important that all of us figure out areas. I think most of you realize that schools are our number one priority and have been for many, many years, 25 or 30 years, trying to build up our public school systems. But that has also brought us so much more recognition. Businesses come to town, and the school system is a separate entity. It's run by the school board. It's run by the superintendent. But all the funding comes from that, from the county commission side or from the mayor's side over here. The cities and the counties, as a general rule, they separate at that line. Now, Brentwood does throw in some money. That's not throwing Franklin under the bus or any of the other 4 cities. But Brentwood does put money in the public school system for the schools within their area. Franklin did that same thing this last year with Franklin Special School District in building some additional ball fields that they needed to lessen the burden on the school side. As we continue to grow, though, it's important, whether it's roads, and Ken's dead on target, trying to stay communicated with the state boys and the federal boys and girls to be sure they recognize that Williamson County, even though it sends a lot of money to Nashville, it doesn't always receive the same equal amount coming back. So you've got to stay on top of them, because there's 95 counties and everyone is asking for those roads. They're asking for those new building projects that the state can put together, and we just kind of have to get in line and prove our case to them.
And you brought up the state, and both the city and the county get a fair share of state shared taxes and or the local sales tax, or the sales tax is important. Explain how some of the things that, such as the grocery tax holiday or the single article cap on sales tax, are impacting Williamson County, and why it's important not just to work within the county and with each other, but at the state level as well.
Well, you've asked something that may take a long answer, but I'll try to make it brief. And first of all, the governor has declared a sales tax holiday on groceries, but in his budget he has $412 million to make sure that cities are held harmless. So I have talked to our members of the General Assembly to make sure that there is complete transparency, to make sure that we are not having a shortfall because of that. There's two things that you need to understand, or I'd like to try to talk about. One is state shared tax, which is we're paid so much money based on our population per capita. That particular formula traditionally changed back when the state was having some financial problems, and on the back of cities, they increased the state sales tax, but did not do the traditional sharing. So one of the things we've been pushing with the Tennessee General Assembly is go back to that old formula for all the cities as far as the way they share state shared taxes. And lastly, on single article cap, that's when you buy a real expensive diamond for your wife, or you buy her a brand new big fancy car. The state changed that formula also during some of the downtimes in the state of Tennessee, and did not change the formula such that it benefited cities in a similar fashion. So we've been lobbying the General Assembly to change back to the old formulas to give us back money that they've been collecting. The state is very flush with money right now. They've put $3 billion into the Transportation Modernization Act, and I certainly applaud the governor and the deputy governor and Commissioner TDOT efforts to start something as far as transportation. That's been a big focus of mine ever since I was elected, and it's been like pushing a rope up the hill. This is a start. It's not the solution. Those choice lanes could also be used for transit, which is going to be something we have to start looking at more intensely and figure out how we're going to fund transit moving forward. You know, the projections are we'll be in gridlock if we don't do something. And so this is a start. And so I hope you'll be supportive of it and talk to your members of the General Assembly to continue to support this particular bill.
So a lot of people were starting to hear that R word, that recession word coming down the pike. What is the biggest threat to the long-term prosperity of Franklin and Williamson County, and what are you doing about it? And that was a submitted question. So are you concerned about the R word? Is Williamson County recession-proof? What's the answer?
I'll try to answer that. I think all of us need to be concerned about the cost of goods, getting the materials in on a timely basis, whether you're in the real estate business, you're in the construction business, or you're someone like Ken and myself that sit on many multiple boards, and the commission has to oversee, and the aldermen have to oversee all of these funds and projects that we're doing. It's unfortunate where we are in our particular society. You've got a very strong, robust economy, but at the same time, the feds are trying to hold that down, so the interest rates don't just take off, and yet I don't know what the current interest rates are. I will know when we have to go to bond. Our bond cost to borrow money, just in the one school project we did, almost doubled. It wasn't quite doubled, but that reflects on what you can do with the project. That particular jail and juvenile services that we were talking about, our latest estimates are $250 to $300 million. That's a lot of money to be sinking in, but you have to do it by federal guidelines. You have to play ball, making your jails safe. But above all, it's a requirement that we have to do. I think that recession hits us, inflation hits us. I know I will watch that stock market and try to get as much information as I can on a daily basis of what's going on, but it affects us in all of us and how we pay our employees. I mean, when we say we're going to do a 1% or 4% pay raise, and I'll just throw that out, there's all kinds of ways to do it. That's millions of dollars. 85% of the funding within schools is in the salary line. Hiring good people, finding good people to work anymore is a very challenging and I just don't know where all the people went that were working prior to 2020. I don't have a clue, but I know they're not lining up to come to work. And then you've got the added burden of keeping people employed. People are looking at retirement in a different way than they did 2 or 3 years ago with the cost of goods. I'm not saying anything with the new revelation up here, but it is mindful. I know Ken is that way. I'm that way. We need to be mindful of when we start these projects that we've got the money to complete them. And so sometimes you just drag your feet, or you just, the word no to me is a word that I use oftentimes. We just can't do that project at this point, and it costs too much. We had one that we were trying to do around the complex on West Main, and it came in double on the estimated bid, and I said, just shut it down. We'll look at it again in another year or two. And I just feel that I'm trying to lead, and Ken's this way, and all these 6 mayors that we have, sometimes you just have to say no and live with what you got. That's kind of what you do around your house.
Ken, do you have any thoughts on what can do to protect, or what the biggest threat to the long-term prosperity of Franklin is?
Well, we look very carefully at our revenue stream every single year when we're doing budget, and the slide that I had up there showed a very modest projection for increased sales tax revenue for the city moving forward. I would say that we have had experience whenever we had the turn down in 2008. We stopped adjusted a lot of the things we were doing. We had no layoffs and no loss of services to our community. So we have some experience dealing when there is a downturn. Hopefully, there is no downturn, but we'll adjust if there is.
So did the pandemic give you all kind of a glimpse at what could happen in a significant downturn in the economy? Did it change much?
Wow, I think we're still not appreciating, seeing the impact of the pandemic in our community. We saw businesses close. We saw people doing businesses in a new way that we never thought about. We went from almost full capacity in our office buildings in Cool Springs to about an 80% occupancy level. And we saw a significant impact of change in our mental health in our community. Suicide rates went up, a lot more calls for behavioral health issues. So we're still recovering from the pandemic, but we're a resilient community, we're a resilient county, and I don't know any place that's a better place to live and where we have so many talented people that love living here and giving back to the community. And cheers to every one of you for getting up early this morning and coming out, and thanks for contributing to making our city and counties such a great place to live, work, and raise a family.
We like to get people out of here on time, but I have one last question for you. Do you all have a personal goal or outlook for 2023?
Personally, I do not want any more knee surgeries. I think I'm on a hitchhike. I know you're short on time. This community is made up of strong-willed people, and Ken and I see that every election time. Some agree with us, some of them don't. But in the private sector, Ken was a physician, and myself, I was in another profession. It's all about good leadership, men and women, running companies, running small businesses, and bringing those same ideas over to government. It works. And then working it all together. It's comforting to me. I don't always agree with what the Ken does or the city does, and nor are they going to agree with me. But in order for our community to continue to grow, we've got to figure out solutions to problems. And we've got to talk about those problems. We've got to be open about those problems. And I see a very bright future for Williamson County, all of our cities for the next 20 years. The challenge will be to balance that growth, develop that growth in areas that it needs to be. In the unincorporated area, we really do want to stay rural. We do want to protect those areas out there, those vistas, those views. And the county commission has taken steps to do that with these 5-acre lots. That was not popular. But yesterday I was up in Nashville on some county mayors association, and that's what they're all looking at now. They're trying to preserve as much of the land so we don't have this sprawl that you hear so much about, because it's very expensive when you have to run water and sewer and the other infrastructure to all these communities out there. We've got about 7 or 8 different utility companies in our community. They each have a certain area, but we have nothing in the area that allows us this central theme of how we're going to grow as a community. I'm not promoting one utility district. I'm saying that you've got to have water. You've got to have septic or sewer out in these areas. And Williamson County is poised. Franklin, Brentwood, Williamson County, we're AAA rated counties. Think about that. There's not but 2 other counties in the state, I think that's right, Rutherford County, Chris, you can correct me, Rutherford County and Hamilton County. But we were the first to get that AAA rating. And what that simply means, we've got money in the bank, and Moody's or Standard & Poor's is saying to Ken and Brentwood and to the county, you're managing your money the way it should be, and we will give you the highest rating possible when you need to go borrow money. And that's, you should feel good about that.
Well, Ken, you didn't get to answer the question, do you have a personal goal for 2023? And is there a goal for leadership in the city?
Well, I think you just opened up Pandora's box. I want to get reelected in 2023. But my goal is to continue to work with our community, work with our board, to balance that preservation and growth of our city and manage growth. You know, people say all the time, we're growing too fast. Well, we are growing fast, but we've been growing fast for 20 years, 2,000 people a year roughly. And so we can't solve all the problems. We're looking right now at our land use plan, our Envision Franklin, and I urge everybody to give their input in that plan when those public opportunities are there, so we can continue to manage the growth of our city and make sure that the areas of our city where there's opportunity to develop are developing like the people in the city want it to develop.
Great. Thank you so much. And thank you, mayors, for being here this morning. Thank you so much to the mayors. Our next breakfast with the mayors will be April 25th, so mark your calendars, and hopefully we won't have any inclement weather then. As you leave the auditorium, please consider donating $50 with the dip jar technology to fund a bronze statue in the likeness of Franklin native coach Jimmy Gentry and the Lost Heroes. Franklin Amara is serving as the fiduciary agent for this project, which would add public art to our downtown. And we appreciate that so much. Those people are here. That's a Leadership Franklin project, and we love to fulfill our mission to engage the community, foster collaboration, and advocate for a shared vision for the future of Franklin by working with groups like Leadership Franklin and with our elected officials. Mayor, we made a long night for you since you've got 2 board meetings this afternoon, the first work session at 5 and the board meeting at 7. So we'll let you all get out of here, and we appreciate you very much. Thank you, and we hope to see you at Frank Talks on March 20th or Breakfast with the Mayors on April 25th. Thanks so much.